familiar with the ANZAC story, and it's always associated with Gallipoli. But for me, there's so much more to the whole story than that. And I really enjoy reading about and being very moved by all the stories of the battlefields and the great battles of the Western Front. So first of all, for some of us who are not so familiar with it, what is ANZAC? So the day when the Australians landed in Gallipoli, the 25th of April 1915, and this day is commemorated all around the world, wherever there are Australians and New Zealanders. So we've got Canada, France, the South Pacific, anywhere where there are Aussies and Kiwis, you will find they commemorate ANZAC Day. Because they wanted people there who were going to be brave and supporting them and fighting with them and wanted to be there, not people they couldn't rely on. So we never ever voted for conscription. So the first engagement, Gallipoli, they land Sunday the 25th of April. As we know, in the wrong place by the forces that be, and they went onto the beaches and they confronted towering cliffs. The Australian commanders tried to pull out. They wanted, this isn't going to work, let's get out. The British commanders said, no, we're going to stay. They were ordered to dig in. So there were 2,000 killed just in the very first few hours. And so it went on. Does anyone remember this story? When I was a kid, I just loved this story. You know, John Simpson and his donkey. You don't hear about it much today. He continued for 3.5 weeks under intense fire. The Turks had a counterattack, and it was a very big affair. There were a lot of wounded. The ANZACs lost 160 killed. The Turks supposedly 3,000. I don't know about these numbers, but that's what I have. I always do my best to verify my facts, by the way. So yes, John Simpson Kirkpatrick was lost in that counterattack. He never received a VC. Many people wanted him to get a VC, but the army said, and quote, his initiative and bravery were representative of all the other stretcher bearers of the 3rd Field Ambulance. The last Allied soldier was shot by a German sniper 2 minutes to 11. Oh, incredible. The war signed off on the armistice. They agreed to stop fighting. It was the fastest way to stop all this endless carnage and misery. But the fighting, you know, stopped in a piecemeal fashion. They were stopping here, they were stopping there. Kind of didn't know what to do, who to take orders from, and so on. But victory. So here we have the celebration in London, Strand. Here we have the Battle of Amiens commemorations were at Amiens, 8th of August 2018. And here we have more of that commemorative service and the newspapers all over celebrating the end of this incredible tragedy. They've got one room that's set up like an actual battle's going on. They've got, your smoke comes in, there's boom boom noises, there's flashing lights. You know, you're warned not to go in there if it's going to affect you. So you've got it's quite interactive and very modern interpretation. You know, how they supported each other. You know, sort of more like daily life of what actually went on. It's really interesting. You've got Robert Graves' Goodbye to All That, a great sort of fictionalised account of the conditions of soldiers in the trenches from the English point of view. You've got this brilliant book, Maria Remarque, All Quiet on the Western Front. How famous is that? And then that went on to become a wonderful movie. It's a very early movie. When you look at it, you can see even the movie how dated it is. But just to get that perspective of the Germans. And his humanity comes through. You know, they're all in there together. Sometimes they're in the same bomb crash. You've got the German on one side and the English on one side, and they're all kind of dying together, and sometimes they help each other out, you know, with little things Sometimes they just kill each other. But it's just this incredibly insightful and poignant story. You know, that book was banned by the Germans because it's sort of an anti-war book, really. It's the story of what we shouldn't become. We've got Vera Brittain, The Testimony of Youth. She's a very interesting English writer. She was a nurse. Also, sometimes it's interesting from my point of view when I read some of these books by the English, the Australians don't even get mentioned. Like, she's got 1,000 pages on the war, and you don't even find a mention of the Aussies. But her book is very, very readable as well, and also she went on after the war to become a pacifist. She went on to become a parliamentarian. She was trying to do international things, get up, remember the League of Nations? They were trying to stop wars happening, not being, patriotic, overly nationalistic, having sort of international bodies in place to solve conflicts. So it's a very insightful read, very readable. Finally, the absolutely exquisite prose poetry of Wilfred Owen. Just astonishingly poignant poetry. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's be finished.